Welcome back again for part two of redesigning fans' old cringy characters. Welcome back to part two. I have one more part of these to do, and if you haven't seen part one of this, I suggest you go watch that first because that's where I'm explaining what exactly I'm doing, and those designs are pretty rad, in my own opinion. So if you want to go check that out, please do. But for everybody else, welcome back to part two. So, once again, we have four, technically five, characters here that we're redesigning. And again, once again, they were all provided to me on Discord by fans. And also, please do not send me your own characters to redesign because I am currently not open for requests. But anyway, so this set of four was also pretty fun to do. And starting here, I don't know who owns this character. It would seem that their message disappeared from Discord to me. So unfortunately, I do not know who owns this character that I am redesigning on screen currently. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because I did it. So, so that's up in the air on who designed that. Just know that this isn't my character. So yeah, but the character I was given, at first glance, I mean, you can tell what the vibe was supposed to be. It's like Neko girl who murders people. Not the most original concept in the world, but it was one. And honestly, I did rather like this character's design. I mean, the outfit was pretty nice, which is why the outfit didn't really change all that much. I liked the hair and all that stuff. However, I didn't want to just change. Again, like one thing I like to do when I redesign characters is I don't like going the full out, like, change it into something entirely different that doesn't look anything like it used to. I like trying to make the characters look at least vaguely resemble what they used to look like, because I like that sort of evolution. I like seeing that change and all that kind of thing. So for her, I decided that I have to keep in her being like having the cat ears and the stuff, and I also had to I told myself I needed to have her looking crazy or murderous or something like that, since she's carrying like a bloody knife, and that's the vibe that's obviously going for in the picture, is her being a murderer or whatever. So those were the two elements I told myself I needed to try and keep in. So what I went for, because I felt like it could be at least slightly original in some way, was that I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if she was kind of like a were-cat kind of girl, and she had like this demony side that would turn into a cat and go like crazy and like turn very malicious and aggressive and just start hurting people, with these dangerous cat claws. So I felt like that would be a bit more of an interesting vibe to go with rather than just being Neko girl murderer. So that's the kind of thing I went with, and I actually had a lot of fun. And I decided to do her obviously kind of mid transformation-y because I felt like that'd be the coolest way to show both parts of it. So you can see like the skin changing color and the like the body changing. I decided to make her ear like it's like her ear is starting to change, and all that kind of stuff. So like it's a sort of mid transformation-y sort of thing. And part of the thing I did for it was like I made the cat paler, but I still left it being a skin color. It's just very sickly pale. And I still went with kind of keeping the cat black and white, and then the human side has like brunette hair, that kind of thing. And I did keep most of the original colors in when it came to like the clothes and the hair. The only real difference with the hair is I made the hair a darker shade of brown rather than that blonde, where the section that's dyed or whatever, I made that a darker brown, as if it's like shifting into black kind of thing. But other than that, with like the actual like outfit, I actually kept that pretty close to what the original was, because it really wasn't, it didn't look that bad, and it fit the character. Didn't really like stand out as being out of character or sticking out like a sore thumb, anything like that. And I also just wanted to go for the cat side, is I wanted to just make it a little bit more cat-like rather than it just being like you put on cat ears. So I did make the cat side look a bit more cat-like, you know, giving her like claws and cat eyes and stuff like that. The second one was given to me by Amy Slayer. The second one was interesting because it was two characters, and Amy did say I could just pick one of them and redesign them, but they were already together and they looked like a twin dynamic kind of thing. So part of me was like, well, there's no way I can't not draw them together. They seem like a duo. So, you know, I decided to do both of them together. And because of that, I tried to keep things a little bit more simple. Which is why they have such a dynamic, extreme pose together and why their hair covers up most of everything. And I really wanted to go for keeping them looking like reflecting images because in the actual picture they're red and green, that's opposite colors. One looks very sweet and harmless, one looks a lot more mean. So I tried to keep that sort of dynamic, that reflection kind of thing going on. And I kept the red one being a little bit taller than the green one like it was in the original. And once again, I was trying to keep as much similarities to the original that I could. And I actually rather like the originals. The originals aren't really all that bad. But I wanted to push for is that when I looked at them, the first thought I had was that they were androids or robots of some kind. So that's the sort of element that I tried to push, was making them look a little bit more robotic by making their hair look a little bit more artificial, by making their faces look a little less human and more robotic, if that makes sense, you know. And what I tried to make the on their face, I tried to make them kind of look almost like holes in the face, or maybe parts where their kind of skin, quote unquote, is like cut out, you know, to show a design of some kind. And I also tried to make their eyes look a bit more robotic. I actually really like playing around with android designs and things like that, designs that look human but they still look robotic, and you know, they don't look entirely human. So that was really, really fun for me to play around with here. And I'm rather happy with how the result came out with and stuff like that. And it was a little bit experimental to do it with the eyelashes being like that, and I actually rather do like it. But yeah, so I was definitely trying to push for a bit more of an android kind of design going with the two of them. And with the colors, I did something similar. I wanted them to have, because if the idea was that they're supposed to be twins, I wanted them to still be kind of matching in colors if they were designed to be twins, you know, as if somebody made two androids that are supposed to look the same, but they just kind of differ in their personal preferences of clothing. So something I do like with the theme of opposite twins or like foil characters that do look the same is very, very little stylistic changes and just how things go. And one of the best things you can do that with is like with edges. You know, meaner character has sharper edges, softer character has softer edges. So like I did that with their little face cutouts. Her little quote unquote teeth on the side, they look a little bit softer and smaller, while the red sister, she looks like she has more aggressive pointy fangs rather than like softer teeth, you know. I also changed their hair color from that blonde orange color to white, just because I felt like the silvery white just kind of went with them a little bit better, you know? It made them feel a bit more robotic, and it made them feel the white kind of just stuck with it for me, you know? It makes it feel a little bit more like they were designed without the idea of color, like they're actual, like wearing green, wearing red in mind. And also, since they had gray skin, I just felt like white hair, it just kind of it looks a little bit nicer, you know? And also because it goes a little bit better with everything. And honestly, yellow does too. Yellow and green and yellow and red are both two combinations that work perfectly fine. I just felt like the white just kind of brought them together a little bit more and just made them look a little bit more robotic than the original ones. This third one I really, really enjoyed. I liked coming up with this one, and I did break my rule a little bit, and she's a little bit more of a full body than others, but that's because I needed to get that mermaid tail in there. So this one was given to me by Woodest Wood, and I did really enjoy this one. And something actually kind of cool is that in the picture itself, there's like a even older version of this character kind of squished in there. So in a way, this is like a third revamp, I guess, for the person. Now, I really, really love mermaids. I like all sorts of fantasy creatures. However, I am somebody who likes when fantasy characters look very much non-human. That goes with me for like aliens, with robots, with everything. I just like that kind of stuff, especially when it like still looks vaguely humanoid, but it has like, I like my mermaids with all their frills and their excess details and all their fishy parts, rather than just being Disney Little Mermaid kind of things. So for this one, I definitely went all out with that. I had a really fun time with it. For starters, I added a ton of like little extra parts to her. And when I looked at her just with the colors and like the black arms with the claws, when I looked at it, what just struck me was I could make this so freaky and so like deep sea mermaid kind of thing. So that's what I sort of went for, like giving her like 4 gills because she's a deep sea mermaid, Actually covering her eyes was a detail to that because usually deep sea creatures don't really have good vision because they don't need vision when it's really, really dark. So in a way, having her eyes colored is in resemblance to that. I made her black arms look just more scaly and sharp, like it's more of a weapon than just an arm, And because I don't mind my mermaids having stuff to cover up with, but I also do. I personally, in my own mind, believe that mermaids wouldn't really have a need to wear anything when you're underwater, and it's just it's a little bit more work than necessary. So instead for her, I made it where the scales trail up her body and kind of cover up her lady bits, in this mermaid's case, at least. But I also just felt like it was just another thing to make her look a little bit more fish-like than human-like. And then obviously adding all the extra fins, making her look kind of more like she has a bit more of a shark-like tail or even a whale-like tail, that kind of thing. I had a lot of fun doing the hair because I like wispy hair, and I also like hair that's boxed off like that. It's just really fun for me. So I had a lot of fun doing the flowy, excessy hair and stuff like that. And the colors were also a lot of fun because the colors I started out with, the palette really wasn't all that bad, the idea of purples and stuff like that. The only real big changes I think I did was that I made the skin very, very dull, very, very pale, and more purpley, just because I felt like it it just added to the sort of creepy mermaid vibe that I was going for. And then other than that, it's just a lot of the colors got more dulled down and got a lot paler, but I still kept like 99% of the character purple, and I tried to do what's actually kind of nice about the original design is the light purple versus the dark purple. I just felt like it could be structured better because in real life, most fish, especially things like sharks, they have a thing called counter shading where they're lighter on the bottom and darker on the top. You can look that up if you want to know the whole science behind it and all that. So I just took the colors that were provided and I made her a lighter belly with a darker top side and then obviously the stripes. And she kind of makes me think of a bit of like a tiger shark mermaid in a way, very fanciful tiger shark mermaid. But yeah, I just had a lot of fun with her. And that mouth was a good time. I like me some creepy grins with fangs and all that kind of thing. So I definitely had a lot of fun with this baby. So yeah, and it was a good time. So this last one, I got an actual Sonic character. I was kind of hoping I would get one because just because I've always wanted to take a crack at actually redesigning a Sonic character because I thought it would be interesting. So I got this lovely babe from, quote, winter, unquote. But yeah, and this was definitely a very, very interesting challenge. So let's just start from the beginning here. When I first looked at this character, I thought to myself, okay, I see things in here I like. I like the really big hair. I actually am pretty okay with the sort of dress she has. I just think it could use some modifications. And there were some things that I liked and things I knew I could keep. However, I didn't know what species she was supposed to be. And I had absolutely no idea what species to go with, so I kind of picked my own. Now, Sonic characters, although they are based on animals, I just know in my mind that they aren't exactly the most accurate things in the world, and there are obviously some things that have some creative liberty. So I just picked one that she kind of loosely reminded me of, and I thought she kind of made me think of a lynx. So I decided to make her a lynx. And obviously she's not entirely accurate to what a lynx looks like in real life in terms of colors. She's not spotted exactly, but I thought that it would just be a cool little standing point, and I could do some little cool little tufted ears and all that kind of thing. And I think it was mostly just the brown, the gray against the brown that really made me think of a lynx. So that's sort of the vibe I went with. Obviously not entirely accurate, but just that's kind of where I started with. In term, just to give me an idea of where to go. And I had a lot of fun stylizing this character. Something that I do find that is quite a missed opportunity sometimes is how varied face shapes can be while also abiding the rules of Sonic characters, which sounds really stupid. I'm not even that big of a Sonic fan. It's just kind of like distantly in my childhood and I just know things about it. But yeah, like altering the faces and things like that. I think that's a missed opportunity a lot of times with people who make Sonic characters, especially when they make them based off of already canonical things like hedgehogs, you know? So I had a lot of fun kind of making them look like a Sonic character, you know? And along with that, the colors, on the other hand, were an interesting experience because the first thing I wanted to tackle was that hair. So in the original design, the hair was striped horizontally, which is possible in real life, but I felt like it would just be a little bit more believable for this character if the hair was colored vertically. And I just felt like I'll go with that and I'll try to make it about 4 different colors. I picked 4 colors to go with, which was black, that sort of warm caramely color, that dark brown, and then gray. And those were the colors I started with and I played with. And it was a lot of tinkering around to see where colors would go and things like that. But towards the end, I actually rather like it, you know, and I had to play around with the skin a little bit there. But, you know, it was a lot of playing around. And then after that, I decided, okay, those are my colors. And now those are the colors I'll use for the rest of the body. And the rest of the design with some slight tweaks. So there was a lot of playing around with colors in this one compared to the other 3, especially in comparison to the middle. The dress I altered. I gave her the more classic Sonic gloves, just because I felt like that would be fitting for this kind of character. But I kept the dress, I kept the body shape mostly the same because, I mean, like, Rouge in Sonic has is a pretty curvy body shape, you know, if you know what I mean. So I kept that sort of body shape into her because it did seem like she was supposed to have a pretty wide chest, you know. So I kind of kept that more hourglass shape in there. But I made her dress a little bit more, you know, a little bit more seductive, I suppose you could say. But I did cut off the sleeves kind of just because I felt like this kind of dress would be a little bit more expected in a Sonic character as opposed to a more full dress with the sleeves, just in relation to like what I could imagine off the top of my head of what I remember seeing in Sonic. But, you know, I just had some fun playing around with that and just making it look a little thing. And I did consider adding spots because she is a lynx, but I decided against that because she already had so much going on with her hair. That's also why I made her dress a lot more simplified and didn't add all the stripes because she already had so many colors going on. I just felt like spots were a little bit unnecessary at that point. So I kept it a little bit more simple with her design. But that is all 4 of them. And I did have, again, I had a whole lot of fun with these. And I hope I'll have the same amount of fun for the last 4 I'm going to do whenever I finally get around to that. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, thank you very much. Please leave in the comments. Feel free to leave in the comments which one is your favorite and all that kind of thing. And I hope you enjoyed that. Again, I really, really love redesigning characters. And I love me some character design. So yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like or comment, whatever. If you feel like it, comment which one is your favorite, just for the fun of it, because why not? And I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. But first, we must shout out those lovely, lovely Patreons, shall we? Why, who is that at the door? Oh my, why it is the $2 tier plus patron. Pleasant to see you, just passing through I see. Oh dear, but there's someone behind you. It's all the $5 tier plus patrons. What are they doing here? Isabel GD? Gunmoon? Shadow Cat Inc., you too? Oh, and Mick, and oh, Starman, I see you in the back there. Don't you think you can hide from me? Well, I'm very happy you could come to this party of mine that I've set up out of nowhere on the internet space. Oh, dear goodness. But look who's arrived. It's the $10 tier plus patrons. Welcome to my humble abode. Pythoness, Micro maybe, Hayden's Art, Nano Sprinkles, oh, Twisted Disaster, you too, Lorenth, Jago, oh, Fema, so glad you could make it, Petty Prince, oh, Miss Mercutial, it's lovely to see you, oh, don't think I forgot about you, Skyak too, so glad you could all come to my party, and thank you all so much for the constant support, and I love you all, and with that, I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Zodiac, out.